I'm Rolene Marks with your top stories right here on the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. And as you know, we do it every Monday to Thursday. So let's take a look at those top stories that are hot off the press and on your device. And we begin again at the UN, at the United Nations Human Rights Council. Now, this week we've been telling you all about the hearings at the UNHRC for the Commission of Inquiry. The Commission of Inquiry that we're talking about was actually formed after last year's Operation Guardians of the Wall and focuses specifically on Israel. The findings that were put forward by the COI basically blames Israel for the ongoing conflict between the Jewish state and the Palestinians. Now, today, the UN Commission of Inquiry investigators have actually condemned the United States for putting together the bloc that issued the statement of condemnation. Milu Kutari, who is one of the Commission of Inquiry investigators, said that this kind of statement greatly disrespects the work of the Commission. And Navi Pillay, who herself is very, very controversial because she has in the past not only endorsed BDS, but has also called Israel an apartheid state, said that the states that are putting forward or endorsing the statement, they show that they cannot live up to their mandate, which is to respect human rights. And if it didn't get more comical, the Palestinian representatives to the UNHRC have actually called on the United States, who spearheaded all of this, to be ousted off the UNHRC. Now, if you do recall, the Trump administration withdrew the United States. However, the United States has re-entered specifically to try and put an end to what they call the disproportionate focus on the state of Israel. Now, the statement, just as a reminder, included exactly that, accusations of disproportionate focus on the state of Israel, which is counterproductive to peace. And all signatories, including Australia, who issued their own statement yesterday, said that they are appalled of the fact that Israel and this Commission of Inquiry remains a permanent agenda item. Israel earlier today, along with Egypt and the European Union, signed a gas agreement. This will entail the facilitating or the sale of Israel's natural gas through a pipeline to Egypt, and then will be sent on to European Union countries. Now, as the European countries try to look for alternative sources to alleviate the reliance on Russia as a provider of gas, so many of them are turning to Israel as a source of that energy. And the signing of this agreement has been lauded by the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and it took place in Cairo earlier today. Now, we've been speaking at great lengths over the past year about Ben & Jerry's, yes, the ice cream providers, and they seem to be the gift that keeps on giving. Well, it has been made public that now that any new recruits or any new hires to the ice cream company are now asked to sit in an orientation program, which entails watching 4 one-hour-long videos that discuss and debate the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, it would in some groups or some areas be considered a good thing to debate various conflicts. However, this project is spearheaded by Omar Shakir, who comes from Human Rights Watch and was actually expelled from Israel for his pro-BDS activities here. Shakir, who is part of a group who has put the pressure on Ben & Jerry's to withdraw the selling of their ice cream in what they call the occupied territories, and has resulted in at least 7 states now enacting their anti-BDS legislation across the United States and withdrawing their pension funds that they have invested in its holding company Unilever, has been at the forefront of this. Now, I don't know about you, but I prefer a time when my ice cream did not speak, and as a hire to any company that civil rights were protected. When asked to comment on this, Ben & Jerry's did not return calls to any Jewish publications or Israeli publications for comment, but it is a very, very worrying phenomenon because it shows just how far BDS are trying to infiltrate companies and serving your ice cream with a side of incitement and indoctrination cannot be the just dessert that anyone is hoping for. And our last story takes us to wounded veterans. And yesterday, the Invictus Games announced that Israel and Colombia now join the Invictus family of nations. And what this will entail is next year, Israel will send a delegation to the Invictus Games in Dusseldorf. The Invictus Games were founded in 2014 by Prince Harry and take place every year as a way for wounded, sick veterans or military personnel to compete. And our Minister of Sport lauded Israel's inclusion, saying that we as Israelis really value the importance of sports in helping people heal. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. But just a reminder of our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook community is at Lottel's site. Please join us by giving us a like, a follow, sharing our content. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. Please click on that red subscribe button so that we can get the stories from Israel you don't hear in the mainstream media out to as many people as possible. And of course, we're on Twitter at layoftheland5. I'm Roly Marks. This is the Israel Brief, and we'll check in with each other tomorrow before the weekend.